YouTube blessings. I hope guys you are doing okay. It's been a long while, but like I said, I've been working on some new content. But also was getting ready for the prophetic school, which we had this month. Is it this month? Last month, late last month. But we are having another prophetic school the 1st of June to the 4th of June. I wanted to make sure you are part of that school. On this video, I want us to discuss the office of a prophet. You see, one of the things I came to hate in my life is assumptions, presumptions. Like just assuming that you know something, and especially subjects that are often spoken of every day. You end up falling into the trap of assuming you actually know um, what that thing is or what that thing means because you have heard it so many times until maybe someone begins to question the assumptions in your statements of fact or in your statements of truth. So on this video I want us to talk about the office of a prophet. There are very fundamental concepts that you need to understand about the office of a prophet. If you are called as a prophet, if God is rising you as a prophet, but also if you are just part of, you are prophetically gifted, you are part of the prophetic community. It's very important to understand the things that I'm going to share shortly regarding the office of a prophet. Okay, so I wrote on Facebook, on our Facebook community, the School of Prophets and Seers. I wrote that if you if you think the prophetic it's all about seeing and saying, then you have missed God by 90%. And we can even include hearing. If you think the prophetic is all about seeing and hearing, then you have missed God 90% of the time. Because prophesying it's part of what a prophet does. It's not what the prophet does. Right? So in other words, you cannot use the gift of prophecy to define what is a prophet. This is why we have people that I call them prophetic ministers or prophetic people who can have the gift of prophecy without being a prophet. You see, a lot of people who desire the prophetic, because I get hundreds of inboxes. I get like literally hundreds of people texting me on Facebook, on my WhatsApp. People actually been texting me even on my email about the prophetic. And one misconception, one consistent misconception I pick up from the text messages that people send to me is that inquiring about the prophetic, how they can rise in the prophetic, how they can operate in the prophetic, and all of that, is that a lot of people assume that being a prophet is all about prophesying. Like, this is why generally when people come to you, I said this in our previous school of the prophets and seers last month. I said a lot of people who want the prophetic, they will come to you and say, I want the prophetic. They are actually looking for the word of prophecy, gift of prophecy. They're looking for a gift of word of knowledge, the gift of word of wisdom. They're looking for the gift of discerning of the spirits. These are the four gifts that attract a lot of people in the prophetic. And I'll tell you why. One, the gift of prophecy. A lot of people, they love to know what is to come. A lot of people, in fact, humans want to know the future. This is why we have people turning to smoothsayers, people turning to psychics, even in the world. This is why people, they entertain things like horoscopes and all those things out there that are promising to have the ability to look into the future. People are interested to hear from the other world about what the future holds for them. And this is not a Christian thing, this is a human thing. A lot of Christians, a lot of people, I meant to say, humans, they secretly want to know. This is why people are attracted to prophets. This is why people are attracted to psychics. This is why people are attracted to diviners. It's because people want to know what the future is holding for them. This is why people believed in omens, because they believe they want some message that is warning them about what is coming in the future. This is what attracts people to prophecy, right? But of course, oftentimes people confuse the word of knowledge and the gift of prophecy, which they're not the same. The gift of prophecy is a vocal gift. the gift of prophecy is a speaking gift. So, meaning, when you're talking about prophecy, you must understand that prophecy might not become predictive in nature. So, because a lot of people think that when you are talking about prophecy, prophecy always has to be predictive in nature. It might not be predictive. It's a speaking gift. So, when you're talking about prophecy, you're talking about the voice of God. You're talking about something that the Lord is saying. And the Lord can speak and say something that has no predictive element to it. So, prophecy can be foretelling, speaking forth what the Lord is saying. Prophecy can be prediction, predicting what the Lord is showing the seer what is to come. So, this is why people confuse words of knowledge and the gift of prophecy, because oftentimes the word of knowledge can operate in such a way that you can think the person who's receiving words of knowledge is actually seeing into the future, or the person is actually seeing into your life. Right? Like, and also the presentation is misleading. And I'm aware some of the things I touched in my on some of my sessions. But they keep on coming back, and it's a sign to me that people are not listening. I'm speaking, but people are not listening. I'm teaching, people are not listening. Hence, I'm doing this video on the office of a prophet. It's very important for you to understand that. So, the word of knowledge, I want to say this, and the word of knowledge can make a lot of people think the prophet is actually seeing into my life. Let's say, for example, a prophet would say to you, you have a son. I mean, you have two sons. Like, we were doing this in the previous schools when I was doing prophetic activations. My students were prophesying, some of them for the first time, were able to receive intimate details about the other students that they were prophesying in the class for the first time. They didn't see a vision, they didn't hear a voice, some were just receiving through impressions. But now, a prophet would receive a word of knowledge that maybe you have a son, maybe you have someone picked up that another couple in a class, they had a red car, so many things that were actually picked up and interesting. But when you don't know, you are not initiated in prophetic ways, you are an outsider in the prophetic, you look at someone coming up with information like that, you immediately make an assumption that this person must be seeing visions right now. And so people came to think prophecy means your eyes are open, you see into the future, you see other people's lives. But that's not always the case. Do you know that in prophecy, you can hear something that you need to deliver to someone that you are not sure of? Because you don't know. You just received the information. That's when now you need to step out in faith and deliver what you have heard, just the way you heard it, without any additions or subtracting from it. So a lot of people will not do that. A lot of people think, when you're a prophet, this is why people come to me and say, man of God, unlock me. Man of God, activate me. Man of God. Because people think once you are a prophet or once you're in the prophetic, your eyes are open 24 hours. So, but there's this thing we call word of knowledge. Word of knowledge is simply a piece of information about something, somebody, some place. It's just a piece of information, a fact about something, about somebody, about a place, and things like that. And words of knowledge, they operate in the present and they operate in the past. So this is why sometimes you will hear a prophet, every time they are presenting something through the word of knowledge, they would say, I saw, or I heard. Right? Some, of course, they are more humble. They would say, who is, or I'm hearing a J, who's J? Right? Or I'm, or, right? Or do you have a boy? I'm hearing boy. Do you have a boy? It's word of knowledge. You understand? Or I'm hearing court case. I'm hearing court case. It's word of knowledge. And then you will be blown, you're rolling down already. Papa, you have seen it. Papa, you have seen it. No, not always. And by the way, I'm not saying there is no dimension of the prophetic of open visions. But I'm simply saying, when you think of a prophet, a lot of people think that's what a prophet is. It's just someone who sees or moves in open vision, someone who's just hearing and is always present. No. Prophets operate through the gift of prophecy, consistently through the word of knowledge, consistently through the word of wisdom, which complements the gift of word of knowledge. Because word of knowledge is useless without prophecy or the word of knowledge or wisdom. Because I can reveal things, intimate things about you. I can tell you things about you But what's the point if I cannot then move in the gift of prophecy and give you and tell you why I had to mention? Like if I told you what is your name, then what's the point? And I stop there. What is the point? It's like picking up that someone is sick and you can't heal the sick. What is the point? It's like picking up that someone's dad is in prison, but you can't do anything about it. Whether move in the word of prophecy and tell what the person, what is the Lord saying about their dad in prison, or move in the gift of miracles to release the person from prison. What is the point? What's the whole point? So the word of knowledge is dramatic. Like think of the word of knowledge as it introduces the dramatic effect into the gift of prophecy. But that's not what defines a prophet. This is the whole point I'm trying to make. That these things that excites you, these things that makes you think you are a prophet or other people are a prophet, they are not what defines a prophet. Because, by the way, the things I'm talking about right now, they can be accessed by the average, ordinary child of God who is not a prophet. You don't need to be in the fivefold, to be called into the fivefold ministry for you to move in the gift of prophecy, for you to move in the word of knowledge, for you to move in the word of wisdom and discerning of the spirits. Of course, the word discern, it actually means to tell things apart. So when we say you have a discerning, give you discerning spirits, we mean you can tell the difference between spirits. So you are able to tell when this is an angelic spirit, when this is a demonic spirit, when this is a human spirit. You can tell when someone has a good spirit, when someone has a bad heart. You are able to discern. So it operates through your senses. It can operate. You can sense. Your discernment can operate through sensing. Your discernment can actually even open through your eyes. You can see a demon through the gift of discernment, operating through the sense of sight. So now, of course, these are 4 prophetic gifts. When we're talking about prophetic gifts, these are the 4 prophetic gifts. Now, you have 4 prophetic gifts. A prophet normally operates these 4 prophetic gifts simultaneously. Oftentimes, when you see a prophet prophesying, he's operating in these gifts consistently every day, like it's their gifts, like it's something that's with them, right? But that alone does not define them as prophets. Even if they didn't have these 4 giftings, the gift of prophecy, word of knowledge, word of wisdom, and discernment of the spirits, they would still become prophets. Okay, and I tried to define this in previous videos. Like I'm saying, people keep on misunderstanding these stuff and asking me the same questions that I've answered, and this is telling me and showing me that people are not learning. Here's what you must understand. Being a prophet simply means you're an official spokesperson of God. You're an official spokesperson. Are you getting it? But as an official spokesperson, you might not be used in prophesying. You might be used through teaching. Because being a spokesperson does not mean you always need to prophesy to be a prophet, to speak for God. You can be a prophet who speaks for God through the gift of teaching. So there are prophets who are very much prophets, but who are not called to prophesy people, who are called to teach the word as prophets. I hope you're getting this. That there are prophets who are called as prophets, as God's official spokesperson. That prophet does not prophesy, but he preaches. God calls him as a prophet. You are my official spokesperson, but you're going to speak to me through preaching. You're going to go and announce my word and preach it. I'm calling you as a prophet, but you are going to teach my word. I'm calling you as a prophet, but you are going to prophesy upon nations. You are going to prophesy upon cities. You are going to prophesy upon leaders. I'm calling you as a prophet. You understand what I'm talking about? And oftentimes, sometimes some prophets, of course, you could be called to teach the word and prophesy. You could be called to preach the word and prophesy. Some prophets are called to teach the word and heal the sick and work miracles. Some prophets are called to teach, to preach and conduct deliverance and healings and things like that. So you don't become stereotyped. Like you don't become stereotyped when you hear the word prophet. When you hear the word prophet, you don't assume that okay, it means the person can prophesy. You see, because a person might not be called prophet. A person might be just prophetically gifted and might be called into the ministry of prophecy more than a prophet is called to the ministry of prophecy. I mean, take Papa Abraham, for an example. We don't see Father Abraham prophesying. But when he gave a certain guy his wife, because he was afraid for his life, the Lord visited Abimelech, and he says, Abimelech, you're a dead man. This man, this lady, it's a prophet's wife. So God, through his own mouth, he says, Abraham's a prophet. But did you see Abraham going around giving people prophecies and stuff like that? No, because he was a God spokesperson, but his function was different. So it's not enough to know that you are a prophet. You need to know what function is it given to you. You're called to function at what capacity as a prophet, right? So Daniel is a prophet, right? But he has an apostolic function. That is why he is called into government, right? This is why he is called into government and law. He serves kings. He advises kings. Word of the wisdom upon his life, extremely strong wisdom. But he still has prophetic revelation. But if you look at his function, he is a very strong apostolic dimension to advise kings. Joseph is a prophet, but he's called into economics, the function. So it's not enough for you to know. In fact, by the way, there's what we call 12 gates, right? We know number 12 was a very apostolic number, very significant number in scripture. There are 12 gates. If you will, you can call them 12 functions in the realms of the spirit. So it's not enough to know you're a prophet. You are a prophet on what face? That's the question. And once you understand these dynamics, you will stop thinking, when you're thinking prophet, you think prophecy. When you think prophet, you think word of knowledge. When you think prophet, you think discernment. And I'm not saying those things cannot be there, even if someone's called to preach, to teach, you understand? But I'm saying these prophetic giftings can be received by any child of God who desires them. That's why you are admonished in the scriptures, desire to prophesy. So the scripture is admonishing you to desire prophetic giftings, but it doesn't say desire to become a prophet. So become a prophet is something way deeper than to prophesy, than just to see in the spirit, than just to hear in the spirit, than just to discern, than just to move in the word of knowledge and word of wisdom. Being a prophet is something very deep. You must understand the 12 functions of a prophet. I'm going to stop here. I'm going to see you in the next video. Sorry for taking so long to reach out to you. But you're going to be receiving videos after a few days from today. You're going to be getting a few videos from me. And thank you so much for all our new subscribers. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're enjoying the channel, the content I put up for you. And if you love the stuff that you see, you're watching me, you have not subscribed, I want you to consider hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss any of the stuff that I'm going to be posting this month. So thank you so much. I'm going to see you in the next video. I'm signing out.